Hello folks, it's me Ferengi on board again, this time with a video on dreams. So I've been observing my dreams lately, and one thing I can actually say is that, well, I'm getting dreams that are much more vivid, much more active in a way. I'm getting a bit more and more conscious in my dreams. Now the point is, I'm sorry in a way for not having posted, like anything in 3 days. The point is, I've actually been busy a bit with my game and, a bit with learning about JavaScript. Now the point is, alright, so as of late I have been working a bit on my video game, and now just to prep it so that I would work after I finish this video. I don't want to make a long one, but yes, I know I usually end up saying this. So I wanted to make a video about dreams in which I present my idea upon them, and a few ideas before probably other videos in which I will show much more advanced ideas. Usually I know I don't prep myself in terms of what to say. I usually prefer spontaneity to represent me. Now the point is, okay, so as of late my dreams have been improving in terms of quality, in terms of imagery, in terms of activity, and for many probably years, probably as long as humanity has existed, we humans have kind of always wondered, what what these manifestations are, and how we can actually understand what they mean and, go beyond the meaning. Now, I'm gonna share a few ideas that I've learned about dreams and also felt more like, these are kind of personal truths, so I wouldn't advise literally, everyone taking what I say literally, okay? Like, everyone is here to understand their own truths, but okay, may what I say be just as a beacon, or let's call it a guidance. So today and yesterday I had 3 dreams in 2 days. Yesterday I had a dream of two friends, a friend and his younger sister. I've never seen them in real life, but I usually speak with them when we play Paladins, and not only. And I saw some people, okay, like they had a generic shape. They were sitting on a sofa, and I was in a room with them looking at them. And I was explaining some things to them, and suddenly his sister pulled out her phone and showed him something on the screen of the phone, which also happened to be more like pointed towards me. And we both looked at that. I don't know what the person saw, and well, you see, I don't know how they actually look like in reality, because like I've never seen them, but I was actively thinking of them, and it was like they were there. Now most likely there were some embodiments, okay, not necessarily those people. Now with entities that we see in a dream, it's not necessarily something, there are those ideas called parallel dreams, okay, when a person actually lives in another person's dream, okay, and both wake up and is like, what the heck, I had such a dream, right? And both specify and present the same dream. Those things are very rare, but they're not necessarily impossible. This is the second dream I've been having of this friend of mine, and we could actually say it's kind of an advanced friendship. Now, on his sister's phone, okay, there was a panther tank. I think it was a picture I saw somewhere, because usually my mind works well with, interconnections. And I think I saw that somewhere, okay, and I think a voice actually told me look at the video lens, and everything vanished from the screen, and there was a beautiful 3:33 in hours, like the video was supposed to be 3 minutes 33, and this was written in a golden letters, actually golden font, let's say, okay, font color. Now the point is, I looked on the internet about 333, and I found a different site this time, which presented the fact that I am supported by all the beings that want me to accomplish my life dream, and I'm thankful to them. And if you're actually happening to see numbers in dreams, this is something not too often for me. The other two dreams were somewhat even more interesting. Like had dreams even more interesting than these, but I just wanted to share a bit. The other dreams, well, one of the dreams was kind of awkward, and it's not the first time actually, and it felt so vivid that I was actually praying in that dream that it would end and things wouldn't be the way they actually happened to be. So I was in a university. There's this big building that keeps popping in my dreams. As of now, I think it's coming back. There was a period in which I didn't see it anymore. There's this huge building that resembles a kind of a university. It has dorms inside it, and there are these huge stairs that lead to it by the entrance. And usually I dream myself in either some classes, and the classes usually look like the classes I've been in, and um, that's one point. But the corridors kind of look different, okay? And in case you are wondering, yes, I made a few videos about the Yandere Simulator. I doubt it would be related to just that, because I haven't played the game in a long while, except the long video that I dropped, like, I don't know, a few days ago, in which I wanted to present some ideas about, some similarities in between my game and Yandere Simulator, which, spiritually speaking, it was the wake-up call for my, starting game development, and, well, game design, more like game development. I'll see about that. Okay, so I was in this university, and for some reason I had an urge to escape. It was night outside, and yes, I actually managed to get out of the university, but it was not because of feeling trapped. I went out of the university. By the entrance there were some people moving in and out in a way which was kind of strange given the fact that it was evening. um, there was a friend of mine who was helping me, and I jumped into the car, and for some reason there's another part of a town which for some reason it reminds me of one town, but I haven't seen that part being specific of that town. Okay, and I can think of some roads when I think of that, and I actually see that town side. Okay, it's a part of a town. Probably I lived there in a previous life, because I think it was that. I think I mentioned, um, in another video about some dreams. I think in a very recent video, the last one, I think, or something like that. So the point is that I don't know what happened afterwards, because after that I was alone on the streets, moving towards the center of the town that I currently live in. Although um, the visuals were the same, the point is there was an extra road in a crossroads that I was, and that extra road actually doesn't exist. So you see, I was there, and I was conscious in that reality, because it felt much more like a reality than a dream. I was conscious that I had committed 5 murders. I had other previous dreams, and as usual I prayed to the universe that something would happen, that I would wake up and everything would change. Things wouldn't be the way they are. Okay, like I also had those worries. What would my family say if they found out about that, right? And I don't know if it was about 5 students or whatever, regarding the university. Okay, because for some reason I had, there was not quite an impulse, but I had to go away from that university. Now the point is, I don't know exactly what happened. Okay, but there at the end of the dream I knew I had killed 5 people, but there is a part of the dream, I think, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't remember anything previous to that. Okay, in between the moment when I went away with my pal in his car, and we drove somewhere, and I don't know what we actually did around there, and like I was suddenly alone. um, so I don't know about that. Okay, but it's kind of, I think, the second dream I had another dream. Actually, I had other dreams in which I had murdered people, and in one of the dreams I was actually taking the corpse to a sewer to throw it in. In another video, I actually killed two people. I think there were two females of somewhat my age or probably younger, and like I buried them somewhere, and it was my father who found out about that, and he exposed my deeds. That was another dream. Now the last dream was more like, it was very strange. This dream with the murders, I actually didn't see myself committing any murder, and I didn't even see anything like blood related or like that. And after that, the last dream I had, which was this morning, just like the one with the murders, um, this one was more like a projection for some reason, because I could actually hear voices or something. Like, um, it was like I could see it with the specific eye of my mind. Looking somewhat to my left, I was still in bed. Um, there was this writing that appeared like in thin air, okay, and there was this voice presenting everything just like a documentary. And it was some kind of a documentary about consciousness, although I don't remember much about it. But I remember that I could see written in thin air, "What's your point blank?" with again um, yellow letters. Now, the darkness that was, well, typical to my room because it was very early in the morning. Now the darkness was replaced with a kind of vivid nature, and away from me seemed to fly two bees. I don't know if they were bumblebees or wasps, but I think they were bees actually, although they were a bit bigger. And they were flying somewhat away from me, and there was some kind of speech about consciousness and hive minds, I think, which hive minds is something that I kind of like. And one of the bees suddenly could no longer fly. They were flying away from me, okay, although apparently they seemed like half a meter away from me. If I could stretch my hands, they were like still not an arm's length away from me, okay. And one of them suddenly could no longer fly, and the other one rushed to keep it still in the air. And the voice spoke about consciousness and how it actually was. Then suddenly I was surrounded by all sorts of wasps or bees. It felt as if they were like all over me, and they were all swarming around my head only, and the top of my head. And I didn't feel any stings. Probably they were drawn, I don't know, to my third chakra or Sahasrara chakra. I can't tell exactly, but for some reason I felt like covering myself with the blanket with my left arm. Afterwards I felt these somewhat bigger bugs, okay, but they were not crawling over me, they were actually on me, and I felt that actually my spiritual body was involved. And those bugs, their presence on my back, they were all on my thorax, or I think it's called that, thorax, something like that, okay, from the middle of the spine upwards till my almost my shoulders. Now there were a few that I could feel, and I could it like almost physically hurt. It was a very physical sensation, and I wanted to, my left arm was very slow in movement, and I think I'm actually becoming more and more in control of my astral body, because for some reason back a while back, when I did an unconscious unwanted astral projection, I couldn't move my left arm, and I couldn't open my left eye, so I was not that much in control of my body, while also I could barely stand on my feet, with also having genuine sensation that I would fall to the ground if I didn't sit. I knew there was a stool behind me, right, a chair behind me, and I was in the same room where I actually fell asleep. Exactly the same room. And there was also the flicker of lights that, I had that physical sensation when everything is turned off, but there is still a light source, and it tingles your eyes. I actually had that specific sensation on my right eye, which was the only one open because I couldn't open my left eye. Now, as you can see, my dreams can become very weird, yes, and in order to understand your dreams, you have to become more and more introspective. You have to keep asking the universe what the meaning of those dreams actually was, right? Because they might mean one thing to me, they might mean one thing to you. Now, I want to become a dream interpreter, and I'm actually getting slightly better and better at this, and I'm somewhat better at this. Now, the point is, I'm becoming better and better, okay? But at least to myself. I can help others with interpretations, but it's more like they have to give me some elaborate details, and secondarily, whatever I provide is just a personal interpretation. It's not necessarily what the angels wanted to tell you. Now, have you ever been attacked in dreams? So how things I felt go in dreams is, um, you know, I felt many times that when you live, okay, in your dream worlds, okay, in the dreams, not necessarily in your dream worlds, when you live in your dreams, it's not your full consciousness, okay? The higher self lives somewhere out there, okay, having other things to do while creating some facets of itself that have to go through lower and lower dimensions until they come here to get born in here, okay? So the point is, birth is a very long and tedious process. Who knows, maybe in order for you to get born in here, your higher self may be, I don't know, incarnated through 20 different lives, and who knows, maybe this life is actually a dream you're having in another universe, okay? And when this life ends, you actually wake up to that universe, okay? And in that universe, you actually wake up, and you continue your life, and when that life ends, you wake up in another life, and so on and so forth. So the higher self is experiencing life through multiple of these facets. That is why from time to time you can actually experience other facets experiences, okay? Because you are reconnecting through your dreams with your higher self. And reconnecting with your higher self, you can actually have access to other lives as well, and those lives might actually have access to what it feels like to be, specifically you. Right? There are those sensations some people have when they feel that something is near them, and it's not necessarily something bad, right? It's not a hideous manifestation or a bad feeling. What if it's another of your facets, okay? Your higher self, it has other facets that at the time you are awake they actually dream, and they are free to explore the universes, and they happen to come to you because they're curious what life is on your end, right? So this is one of my interpretations. Now, what I felt a bit more actively is that when you leave, it's not your spiritual body necessarily that leaves. It is a body that you are learning how to use, just like you have learned to use the body you are currently in. And that body, in a way, feels like it has some kind of stamina, okay, just like in video games. While that stamina is also your HP in a way. Now that stamina seems to be fading slowly but surely, and as it fades, when it finishes, you wake up. Now that body can actually give some pain because it's not physical, but it is somewhat of a physical manifestation, okay? I mean, it is a full-fledged body and it has its own sensors. That is why in some cases when you are very, very aware, like in some of my cases, you can actually hear things in dreams, you can hear voices that speak to you, you can read certain things, okay? It all depends on the awareness. Now there are also projections, and those projections happen through the eye of the mind. You are not going away, like far away, as you are going with the other body. Feeling through the other body is somewhat a bit, in my opinion, is trickier, okay? Like hearing through that body is much trickier because, you see, what happens when you dream is that your consciousness, okay, creates a body, and when that body is created, okay, when you fall asleep, that body goes away. So imagine it like a pilotless aircraft that you, or your consciousness actually, is piloting from within your body. your consciousness doesn't seem to, or at least in my case, doesn't fully leave your body. Okay, like I had the situation in which I woke up from a dream. I felt something strange, and when I woke up, I actually felt I woke up before my consciousness would return. And I felt it coming back inside me through the top of my head. It felt like a little funnel coming back through the top of my head, probably through my Sahasrara, or I don't know exactly. And on me there were these huge paws of an entity that I perceived as being a huge lion. Okay, so we all have these entities that keep a ferocious watch over us when our consciousness or part of it is actually gone. I'm not entirely sure if your whole consciousness actually leaves, but I'm fairly sure in a way that only this body actually leaves. Okay, and you learn how to pilot these bodies. Okay, and these bodies have this so-called stamina in a way, which is also your so-called hit points. Okay, when something attacks you, in a way, depending on how trained you are to use that body, you get to use certain abilities that can also be created, and your imagination will respond in kind. So imagine that in your dream you're actually connecting to a server world, okay, where there are certain rules, but those rules are dictated by your own concentration and your own consciousness. The more aware you are, the more powerful you are. If an entity wants to attack you and you're just not taking it into account, it will hit at you and won't do like literally anything. And it also has to leave because it's interfering with the few laws that those such worlds actually have. Now when you are attacked by a monster, that's most likely either a big fear of you that has chased you there, because we all have parasites more or less on us, and even if that body leaves, it doesn't mean that entities that have created those fears, right, those attachments within us, it doesn't mean that they won't be chasing you. Okay, some of your worries, because worries are powerful attractors, and you kind of identify with that body in a way. So once you are piloting that body, or at times, yes, it can actually be you who leave the body, right, and consciously, almost consciously actually go far and wide. Okay, now with this experiencing, the point is such entities can actually attack you, and the more aware you are, the more positive you are, the higher the chances. When such an attack happens, usually if you get scared, your vibration will drop, and it will also draw far more of these creatures. And when these beings attack you, the point is that um, you reduce your stamina. Okay, you make yourself more vulnerable, and it's usually that they slice you once, right, or they hit you once, and you're suddenly awake. And it's obvious that you are awake because the stamina of that body has been instantly consumed. That is why some people are more like dream warriors. They are warriors in their dreams, and they don't let themselves down. I mean, if something attacks, they strike back. Okay, so there are many things about dreams that I wish I could share, and like I think I'm already stretching this video more than usual. These are some of the interpretations that I feel about those. Now with dreams also there is another point. Okay, will you excuse me for a minute? I think the phone is calling. Okay, be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, someone was looking for my grandmother and I had to tell them that she's not home yet. Okay, so the point is with dreams that, well, these are two of the interpretations that I can provide. Okay, there are numerous symbols that you should take into account when you dream, and you should take into account if it is light or dark. The elements, like if you see some of them, like if the water is clear, or if the water is it is rough, like rough seas, you tend to drown. this means emotionality usually, tensions within you, right? Now, the other point about dreams is that these can actually take a very extremely long time, okay? Because time flies differently in other areas, or strangely to us who are very used here. The point is that in some areas the time may not actually exist or may go very very slowly. Okay, so when you go in there, you can actually experience a whole life until you wake up. Now the point is, um, consciousness can be away from the body for even a few hours. Now the point is, when it comes back, before you actually wake up, consciousness usually comes back like a while. I don't know exactly how long before, how much before that, right? How much time passes after, and then you wake up. And when the consciousness returns, okay, the point is very simple. Um, all the things that it has experimented, or some of those, they will get transferred to the conscious mind, okay, and the conscious mind will create some things, okay, to depict what your consciousness has experienced. So what you see in your active dreams is not exactly what you have seen or what your consciousness has recorded. Okay, it's like, let's call it something like that. Okay, because that's the point. Your consciousness may experience a whole life out there. That is why you probably experience, just like in my case, several different things, right, at the same time. You can probably see different people, right? You can actually see the deceased, right? Some people who have passed away, right? Some people from your family. Now, those can also be imagination, okay? So there is a fine line in between this. I'm yet not conscious, which would be the difference, okay? Usually, I believe it's more like they are projections of your mind, okay? You are going to certain places where, you can either talk with those people, right, or spirits or something like that, or they also send some facets of themselves, okay? So you don't speak directly or specifically with them. Now, come again, you never know what your consciousness actually sees, perceives, smells, or whatever other sensors there are out there, okay? When it comes back, it sends all that information to your conscious mind, and your conscious mind will use whatever it has at its disposal to present those ideas, okay? And therefore you will have the so-called dream. And that is why some of the conscious elements will appear, like, I don't know, characters from your games, characters from movies probably will show up, people from real life, or different ideas you have seen and remembered, or probably not even remembered, because when you dream you also, you know the conscious mind draws things from the unconscious one as well, and the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind is recording each and everything that you hear, see, smell, and spiritually perceive, which means metaphysically perceive, okay, and it lies there in a so-called black box of your existence, okay, which is recorded in your Akashic records and also in the Akashic records of the universe. Whoever becomes capable of unlocking those, well, they will actually be very powerful and they will get access to some of their previous lives. Now, I'm very curious regarding my dreams if I'm gonna be presented ideas about a so-called yandere previous existence of mine. I mean, if you have lived hundreds of lives before on this planet and not only, it's most likely that you have probably experienced many of the possibilities of consciousness, because let's face it, consciousness would come to this universe to experience more of the negative sides, because coming from highly positive sides, it's most likely they will be drawn to negativity. That is why many people come here. Many souls do not understand or know exactly what, being killed actually feels like, okay, and out of curiosity they are interested in getting born in here, and they will actually have, other spirits to help them through this, and some of those spirits will embody into people that will actually service to that role, okay. One of them most likely will be, or others will actually be, the slaughterers, right, if there are one or more. So literally everything that happens has far more deeper aspects to it and to them actually, to it actually, because everything in turn has different aspects to see. Now, hopefully this video gave you a little bit more about, dreams, and you understood more about them. Hopefully I gave you some ideas on what to reflect. I'm looking forward to hearing your dream ideas, your interpretations, because I'm also looking forward to, expanding my own consciousness through the aid of you as well. So if you like the type of content that I am creating, feel free to follow. Feel free to subscribe if you're interested. If not, at least share with other people so that I help, you also help me expand their consciousness. Okay? Now, regarding my video game, I'm gonna present something very, very short. I have been working at one of my oldest maps, one of the first maps I have created. It's going to represent the actual protagonist, okay? The actual protagonist, I mean, not the one in the chapters with the university, in the chapter with the university. This is another chapter, previous, I think, previous to that, or previous to a previous chapter to that. I haven't decided on that yet. I decided to make a demo out of my game, and I'm interested in actually making this this map into a playable demo. This I'm going to make as difficult and tricky as possible. I'm probably gonna increase it over time. I'm not gonna provide too much guide on it, because I want people to actually understand and test it again and again and again and see whether they figure out what they have to do. It's gonna be in a way, let's say, similar to Pac-Man. That's probably the only hint that I have to be. And a spoiler, this is going to be the battle between the protagonist and her first arch nemesis. Okay, the first enemy of the three she will have to beat from something called Project Nemesis. She is Alpha Nemesis, and her purpose is to create clones. Now these clones will also seek the player, and the player has, as you can see, some refugees in here that these clones cannot reach. And starting with a certain moment, some of these will become unavailable, because she will also spawn some of her replicas in here. And I am looking to expand the map even more to add 3 more illusions that these will also cast environmental effects upon the player. And I will tinker with these. I will see when I can actually finish this, and most likely I'd be willing to use Steam management or deployment, something like that, and actually pull a playable demo out of the game to get some criticism and see what people think about the AI that I'm building. I'm interested currently in creating let's call it a state machine. That's something that I'm really interested in taking part throughout my life, along with game development and especially game design. I'm interested in all sorts of ideas, and usually creating far more powerful AIs, because I feel that the current ones are kind of they're kind of sucky. Okay, so the point is, I look forward to hearing from you, to hear your points, and well, what can I say? I look forward to also finishing my game, which will take a long time, but slowly but surely I will learn the JavaScript necessary, and I will also learn whatever is needed for the game to develop. So until next time, hopefully my video has been informative enough and given you ideas to debate on and think on and become a bit more introspective. Until later, remember, you are awesome, and also so is life. And don't forget, love yourselves more, take care more of yourselves and of your loved ones. Berenjan Board signing out.